So these two AIs are made by active scripters of the community. The Morrigan is made by Cheese on Toast and KimberlyAzula, and Bambi is made by interlepus. So yeah, sometimes I pronounce his name wrong. Don't tell him I said that. Interlepus. So Celts are the Civ today for this final game. Bambi, who's actually the purple player here, he's a very well developed AI. It was started in 2021. The Morrigan is a more recently developed AI. The spreadsheet does say 2021, but I think it may have been started after that point. Chat is very quiet out there, even though we have a lot of viewers. We definitely would like to hear about any questions that you have about AIs in general. If you'd like to make your own AI, we have several tutorials and tools to help you along that process. So we have a lot of scripters around the community to help you develop AIs if you choose to do so. There's a viewer right there. Can I play against any of these AIs? Trying to micro against some of them looks fun. Yes, any one of these AIs is capable of being played against. We have a scripting websites besides our Discord community where you can download some of these AIs. Make sure to check out that website if you want to download some of them. It's called AI Scripters. And you can check that out. They have many different pages of AIs on there. The two AIs that you have on screen are Bambi and the Morrigan. They can be found on that website. AI Scripters contains AIs of very many different shapes and sizes of age, new and old. So if you're a newer player to the game, there's an AI out there just for you. So all you have to do is check out the website and maybe download one of the easier guys out there, or the older guys. The Morrigan, I would say, is possibly a more flexible AI than Bambi. I can't recall if Bambi can play water maps, but I know the Morrigan does so. So in case you want to go fishing out there on your island map, the Morrigan can play that setting. But right now, we're only focused on Arabia. Davis Cup only plays the Arabia map. Some of the other top contenders of AIs that you may be interested in, one is Immortal, who is one of the top AIs, and Rehoboam, which is another top AI. So some of you may have heard about Barbarian, and the two AIs that I mentioned are equivalent or greater than its playing ability on Arabia particularly. So make sure to go out and check out those AIs. Rehoboam is great, has a mod available. Yep. The AI script. What do you think is the hardest AI for a person to beat? So I would say, I would definitely play with AIs on Arabia here, and I'd either play with Immortal or I would play with Rehoboam on those hardest or extreme settings. Don't hold yourself back. Make sure to play on extreme. And if you're already playing with Rehoboam, make sure to check out Immortal as well. He's a fantastic AI, and I can include that direct link to his page. But AIs are being made for all different types of settings. Some AIs are still being made for the Age of Kings even. So we have scripters developing for all different versions of the game. Some more than others. We've mainly moved on to DE at this point, but there are some scripters that still like to prefer user patch. Most have moved on to DE at this point, though. So a little bit of fighting has started to occur here in Feudal Age. Morrigan has done something I consider to be super annoying, is the palisade walls protecting the tower. Only newer AIs can do that, of course. AIs have a very hard time dealing with that. Especially the older AIs. Top 6. Yes. Hey Thief. I think I've seen you before. Yes. 64. Top 64 right now. Soon to be top 32. So yeah, we're getting close to the top 32. So I think that you're questioning when is the top 16 going to occur, and you previously talked about it, and it's quickly approaching here. So Team the Two consists of 2 Morgans and 2 AIs called the General, who's made by one of the best and oldest scripters of the community, Leif Ericson. He's been around the community for around, I'd say, around 2010-ish. So a lot of the older scripters before that point have since retired. But occasionally come online. You can't say that they're never around, but they have mostly retired at this point. We did run some of the games offline because there are just so many games. Yes, it does take a long time to run a tournament like this. Isn't there anything that User Patch has that DE doesn't? DE is supposed to have everything that User Patch has. There are some glitches and stuff inside DE that programmers are still dealing with, but DE is supposed to incorporate everything that User Patch has. But some old sharks still like to have or play with User Patch instead, and who's to blame them? They like the old game. So it looks like the Morrigan is quickly taking care of Bambi here. I think we can speed up to 4. I guess if everything works in User Patch and not DE, I can't blame them. Yeah, part of the reason why the coder of Immortal, the Maximal Being, he prefers to code on User Patch is because kinks are still being worked out on DE. So he prefers to code on User Patch instead. So the Morrigan by Cheese on Toast and KimberlyAzula. Cheese on Toast is actually the same author as an older AI you may have heard of in the past called Brute Force. So he is developing, this is his newer AI. So if you've ever used Brute Force in the past, this is his newer, his more updated AI. I think we can continue. It's starting to get late here, but I think we can continue playing some more games. So let's go on to the 4v4. We're absolutely going to end this if after the 4v4 and 2v2. So I'll continue the stream until that point. But I am starting to get hungry. Okay. Let's see here. Why am I looking at Brightspark? He's not on his team. Okay, Bambi. 8. So the general, the Morgan and the general are on a team called the Two. So we have to make sure that I set that up properly, because it does take some setup here. So let me make sure I set this up properly here. It may take a minute or two to set up properly. So give me a second, because I have to get the proper sieves in the right order. So let me get that set up. Okay. So the Morgan 4v4 is Kimmer flank 1. So the general plays flank 1. And then the general Aztecs flank 2. So I'm going to general flank 2. Aztecs. Kimmer. And then the Morgan. Sorry, I have a lot of AIs. I'm also an AI collector, secretly. So the Morgan, Celts pocket 1 and Romans pocket 2. Okay, I think we got it. So we also have to randomize our sieves for Bambi. It is mirror match for the first. So let me make sure I get this right. And then Aztecs flank 2. I think we're good. Let's go ahead and do it. Sorry about this long setup time there. Okay, let's see the questions in the inside the chat. Why are certain positions and civs selected? Was it the creator's decision? Did the creators come together to decide teams? Yes, the creators came together to decide the teams. These are the civs that they chose. So anytime a game is played and an AI can play any civ, they play a mirror to the player 1 slot. So I guess if everything works in user patch, okay, so already got back to that comment. So yeah. So you may be wondering, Adjective, why the Morgan is on 2 different teams. So the Morgan, so how the tournament works is in the player 1 slot, no AI can challenge itself in combat, but an AI can be part of multiple teams. So the Morrigan here is a part of two teams. It's part of this team, and it was part of POCBS, which you saw in the previous setup. But the Morrigan cannot be inside the first slot of either team. Like, the Morrigan cannot play the Morrigan in 1v1 combat. So that's how the teams generally work. And no AI is on more than two teams. There aren't too many teams in general inside the tournament. So the Morrigan and the General are two very top AIs of the community. Made by long-standing members. The General is an AI that likes to rush quickly into Castle Age. And then perform a brutal attack. And the Morrigan is a semi-flexible AI. It likes to play pocket more than it likes to play flank at the moment, but it can do either. The General plays land maps only, but the Morrigan can play water settings as well. And for anyone who has not done so, I highly suggest making an AI of your own, because it's very we have a fairly large community over there at AI Scripters, and developing your AI is it's almost how can I explain this in the best way is there's some creativeness to it. So as I mentioned earlier, each AI is pretty unique, and they can have very similar qualities, but no two AIs are exactly identical, even though they can perform very similar strategies. They are no two AIs are identical in every single way. There are many different things that go into developing an AI. There's the gathering rates, like the food and the wood and the stone, and there's also how many villagers you want to put on those resources, in addition to your military ratios and when you want to attack. These are all different things that you have to consider in making your AI. So, in addition to the more advanced strategies of like which units you want to group together. So all these, I guess, settings come together when you are making an AI, and they can be very complex or very simple in nature, but you'll never know if you don't make an AI of your very own. So even if you don't share it with others, I highly suggest making an AI, because it's just plain fun. And it's at the very beginning of scripting your own AI, it's very simple to learn at first. So don't feel nervous at all about developing your AI. A simple AI can only take 20 minutes to a half an hour of your time to make. So don't think it's too time consuming either. Are most resources in Python or C? So the scripting language has its own language. I can put an example rule of how the scripting works. So, for example, this is a rule of how to train villagers. So that says that if you can train a villager, and if you have less than 38 villagers and you're greater than feudal age, then train a villager. So that's pretty simple. And a lot of the rules are, for the most basic sense, are just like that. When you're just getting into scripting, you could do the build a barracks in the very similar fashion, or archery range, or castle, or military units. Yep. One thing to think about AI creation is the game counts time in seconds and not in minutes. So if you use a game time command, then the game is always kind of, by default, is thinking about the game in seconds. It can track time in other ways as well, but in the most basic sense, it counts it in seconds. And if you're interested in a quick and easy way of making an AI of your very own, there is a resource out there for anyone to use. And it's on AOK Heaven. It's called the Rock Hurl List tool. So I'm going to include that inside the chat for anyone to check out. And if you join our Discord community, we can definitely help you make your own AI. So it looks like the general has reached Castle Age, and he's beginning to take on some of the enemy units. This is kind of a more advanced feature. It uses direct unit control to control the knights and avoid the TC and target villagers. It's kind of harder on older AIs because they can't really compete with the groups that you see. But it's cool to see nonetheless. So on the other side, we see something that's unfortunate. Bambi going for the attack with his villagers against that tower. But they are retreating because they were being assaulted by the general who was defending his watchtower. But you see that's very similar movement of controlling units with the Aztec warrior over here, the eagle warrior. I'm sorry, eagle warrior. That circling motion that you see with the groups surrounding that town. Looks like the Morrigan's coming in for some assistance here to attack Bambi Orange. Now, Bambi's in a pretty tough position here inside the brackets because his adversaries are Shadow, who's a top AI, and the team that you see on your screen, the Two. So he's challenging some of the best AIs in the game here. Only 2 of the 4 AIs can proceed to the next round of the brackets. 2 of them will be eliminated from the tournament completely. And if you're curious about the Rock Herbalist builder, it will actually type out those rules for you. Like say that you want to create a spearman, you can select it from a list of units and actually tell it to create a rule for training whichever amount of spearmen that you want to, and it will actually say 3 spearmen, and it will actually create a rule for 3 spearmen. So it'll do a lot of that stuff for you. It's really a nice tool. No matter if you are, what age you are, 5 years old, or if you're older than 70 or 80, and you're interested in AI scripting, it's not a hard language to learn. I recommend anyone to go out and make an AI. It's not difficult, at least in the beginning, and it's a very fun experience. Now, it may take a little bit of time for your AI to compete on this level, but no matter that situation, it's still fun to create an AI. Yeah, I mean, skirmishers are definitely a popular option for the game. The general coming in with a couple of rams to finish off Bambi Orange. So it's looking really bad for Bambi here. He has to kind of dig himself out of a hole to win at this point. Let's go look at some of the towns over here. The General and the Morrigan make pretty nice looking towns, and I can appreciate that. I mean, they have a pretty good town setup. As you can see, their castles are generally pointed towards the enemy. Older AIs cannot do that. They would have to put their castles just anywhere in the town. And so when you were playing earlier versions of the game without user pass, you may have been wondering, why is he building, a castle in some, stupid spot inside his base? Well, it's because of the old programming language about, the engine, where castles were just placed anywhere. But now, castles can be placed in better positions of towards the opponent, or where the developer wants their castle to be placed. Very rarely do you see an improperly placed castle unless you're challenging an older AI. That's weird. Did he convert a ram? No, none of this in that. I was about to say. So here's another formation that you don't see in very many other AIs at the moment, is the scorpion formation that Cheese on Toast and Kimberly have worked on. It's very, very aggressive and hard to beat. Part of the reason why Kimberly wanted scorpions included inside their AI is because she used it inside human games. So she wanted scorpions to be included in her AI. But yes, I believe they are very, they are a more rare military, or underutilized, I guess, just like you said, tool. Yes. So I think we can speed this up. Let's go ahead and go up to 4. In fact, we may be able to call it here. Yeah, I think we can call this. So one more game of the day, and that's going to be it for us. I know I said that a little bit of time ago, but since there are so many of you right now, I decided to continue. So let's go ahead and play one more game, and it will be a 2v2 of the Morrigan in general versus 2 Bambis. So that's how it will work. So the in 2v2 combat, the general plays Kimmer. And the Morrigan will play Romans this time. So the I need to switch this. Romans and I almost got that wrong. And Bambi will be playing. That means Bambi will be playing Romans, and his others will be random. I think we're good to go. So final game of the day. One of my favorite civs right now is Romans. particularly because they are an Age of Empires 1 Civ. I haven't personally developed an AI for Age of Empires 2 with the Romans included, but I think they are a very interesting Civ. I create AIs for Age of Empires 1 as well, so Romans are one of my most used civs for creating AIs in Age of Empires 1. We actually just finished up a tournament a little bit ago with Age of Empires 1. That was on the AoE 1 scripters Discord and streaming community, but we played that tournament on Return of Rome though. It has a much smaller community than Age of Empires 2 in general. If you're interested in Age of Empires 1 scripting, there is a separate community for that. I will link that. It's a smaller community, mind you, and less active, but I will include those who are interested. We are going to be hosting a continental tournament here for Age of Empires 1. Mind you, it is going to be played on Return of Rome. So if you're thinking about making an AI for Age of Empires 1, there are different tools for that, but they can all be found on that community. So the final game between the two and Bambi. So the General, the Morrigan, and Bambi. Bambi's not having a good day. Let's just be honest. He definitely needed to win this. He has another hard opponent, Shadow, that he will be facing, so most likely he'll be knocked out this round, but he did play some good games. We can give him that. He knocked out some AIs inside the previous AI, so inside the previous bracket of the tournament. So I still see that there are 42 of you out there. I don't hear from too much of you. You're being kind of quiet. Sometimes that's good to just observe. But we definitely would like to hear from some of you if you're interested in AI making. or have questions, always open to discuss. Like, what are the differences between newer AIs and older AIs? What's the most powerful AI? Who do you consider to be a really weak AI? You don't hear that question very often. Who do you consider to be a really weak AI? Like I said, AIs come in all forms and shapes. So, just like there are strong AIs, there are some really there are some weak AIs too. Yeah, there are some AIs that are, that counter, based off, or they may just get lucky, It doesn't really happen with the top AIs too often. More like a 1% chance, or even lower. But it is possible for a weaker AI to. I wouldn't say it is impossible. But nothing is ever certain. An AI could trip up on its berries, and that would. It doesn't really happen very often, but it can. It's nothing's impossible. Something special about this tournament is, as I pointed out, there have been AIs from every single era of the community's history. So AIs that date back to the Age of Kings. So something special that was included were all the previous tournament winners, as well as the majority of all participants. But the tournament winners also participated, so meaning winners of previous tournaments past. So until recently, we didn't have one of those AIs. It was lost. One of the first AI tournament ever hosted was actually a Japanese tournament for AIs. And the winner of that tournament was Garyu, who was a feudal rusher. That AI was lost to time until fairly recently, when it was brought back to the community, and actually it's out there on AI Scripters currently under a special Legacy AI pack, which can be downloaded by almost everyone now. And it's a fairly hard AI to beat because it rushes in feudal. Now, some of you very advanced players may think it's really would be pretty simple to win, but it can be tough, and I wouldn't underestimate it in any way. It got out pretty early, and semi-early inside the tournament, inside the pre-qualification round, but it did take out a couple of its competitors. If you're interested in that AI, which is the oldest AI oldest AI tournament winner for AAV2, I can post that in the description for you guys to check out. So it's actually on this page here. And you can check that out it's called Garyu. so you may have to rename some of the files in it because it was originally a script that was made made in a different language, obviously. So you may have to some coding experience may be required to get that AI working. But I can also post can also send a link maybe regarding the whole tournament pack, and it's included with the renamed versions inside here. So let me grab the whole tournament pack for everyone here. And this tournament pack includes all AIs for this whole tournament. So it's included here inside the second link, and that will include Garyu as well with the renamed files. So it'll work. If you try to include Garyu the way it is now, it'll probably crash your DE because it has some either Japanese characters or Chinese characters, which DE doesn't like. If you try to include that, it won't like it. But the pack that includes all AIs will include the renamed version, and you'll have to grab all those files and place them in your AI directory if you want to play with Garyu. He's a Chinese only AI. So it looks like the General and Morrigan are making short work of Bambi again. They're really whipping up on him. Now Bambi, as you know, uses a lot less DUC to control his military. And there's a lot less user patches as well. Although there is some. I can't say there's no user patch within this AI. If you do download the Garyu from the tournament pack, make sure you grab all those Garyu files and put them inside your directory. There's more than 2 files. If you're interested in including the AI inside your AI directory, this is where you put the AIs for those who do not know. They're included in your program files, inside your Steam Apps Common, Resources Common AI. So that's where AIs go, in case you were wondering. And you just put your AI's files in it and it should work. So yellow is doing a little bit better now than green. He had a little bit more time to set himself up. something that kind of troubles the newer AIs are towers, because the arrows from them can kind of make the DUC AIs a little bit skittish. The Morrigan with the repairs on the Scorpion. Yeah, the Morrigan is definitely good at preserving its Scorpions. The Scorpions is one of its favorite units, so it wants to protect them. So it looks like the Morrigan was a little bit faster in taking down his opponent than the General in this game. Let's speed it up to 4. I think the game's almost up here. Well, I thank everyone for tuning into this stream. I hope that while the game's finishing up here, and like I said, if you're interested in scripting or creating an AI, make sure to join the community. It's definitely a great place to hang out and create AIs for Age of Empires 2. We really do hope to see you there, and maybe create an AI or 2 of your own. So if you're interested in joining, please make sure to check us out. I'll post the link one more time there for the AV2 scripters, the AI scripters. Make sure to ask us questions about AIs if you want to. We're happy to answer questions. There we go. The Morrigan and the General have finished off Bambi. So thank you everyone for tuning in. Really enjoyed this session, and I guess that's it. As always, thanks for tuning in. I'm your host, MrElephant, and we look forward to seeing you next time here on AI Scripters. Okay. Farewell for now.